This episode is brought to you by Fuli Gemstones.
Every piece is handmade, every piece is unique. We don't repeat things, even if it's another snake ring, it's slightly different. We don't use molds, we don't mass produce, we don't use factories. That's going to stay.
I'm Carol Woolton, the voice of jewellery. Welcome to If Jewels Could Talk. I'm an author and broadcaster, and the woman who initiated the role of jewellery editor at magazines like Tatler and Vogue. This is a podcast for everyone, for people who do like jewellery, for people who don't realise they like jewellery, and anyone intrigued by fascinating facts, new ideas and forgotten histories. So join me as I tell sparkly tales and meet all sorts of people, delving into 4 centuries of jewellery culture and investigate what's happening now. I'm in Venice. I am inside the bejewelled time capsule of Codognato in Venice, the official goldsmith to the Basilica of San Marco, who've welcomed cognoscenti and collectors since 1867. Through the jewelled doors have walked Queen Victoria, great artists such as Renoir, Manet and Whistler, Diana Vreeland, Coco Chanel, of course Elizabeth Taylor, Andy Warhol, Ernest Hemingway, Orson Welles, Nicole Kidman, Tom Ford. Basically, the stylish of each generation, seeking Italian goldsmithing, theatrical design and ancient gemstones, have made a pilgrimage to the store. But things are changing. Following the death, aged 86, of the 4th generation Attilio Codognato, jeweller Francesca Amfitheatrof is now joining the dynasty as head of creative. Francesca, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Carol. So lovely to be here with you.
Your new role, as if you don't have enough to do as creative director of Louis Vuitton.
Correct.
But so tell me how this collaboration began.
Well, I have known Mario Codognato for decades. We were students in London, and I first met Attilio outside Mario's first exhibition that he ever curated of Duchamp. Attilio was a great collector of art.
He was.
A very, very important collector of art.
I did a big story in Vogue a long time ago about, but very contemporary. That's what's interesting.
Always very contemporary.
The store was so traditional,
I know.
steeped in old Venice, and his collection was completely contemporary.
And I think that sort of subversive, conceptual, creative side that Attilio was, brimming with is kind of a subtle narrative within Codognato. But it is primarily very Byzantine and Venetian and historical and worked. But there's so many layers to the work that Codognato, and particularly Attilio, I believe, created in his lifetime that art definitely plays a major role. So going back to your question, I met Attilio outside and we chatted away like crazy. And the funny thing is that my father, when he came out of Harvard, he moved to Milan and he lived with Piero Manzoni. They shared a flat for a short period of time. They were not particularly enamored with each other, but Attilio was a great collector of Manzoni. So we immediately hit it off. And I've been friends with the family for years. And of course, every time I came to Venice for the Biennale or other times, I would go to the store and I would sit there with Attilio and we'd chat away. And
because you speak fluent Italian.
Speak fluent Italian.
My problem with Attilio was I have no Italian, and his English was quite limited. But
correct.
We communicated.
A little bit of French, and probably he preferred. And so a couple of years ago, Mario called me and said, I really need your help. And I obviously offered to help in any way I could as a friend to support them.
Needed your help because he's a famous art curator.
Correct.
He's run the Modern Museum in Naples, so he didn't want to do the jewellery full time.
Well, he just felt that he didn't have the knowledge. He said to me, I don't know enough about stones. I don't know techniques. And, my father is sort of coming to the shop a little bit less. He's less able to go and see all the artisans that are around primarily Venice and outside. And he said, I just don't feel that I can really support the store well. So Mario is a major curator, and Christina, Mario's sister, Attilio's daughter, is a psychotherapist in London. So both of them not involved at all in the store. And Attilio didn't involve them as children. They really didn't know very much about what he did. And so therefore I suggested I just help them as a friend and come in and, maybe speak to the artisans. And then Mario said, no, I really need help. And so we kind of jumped on board, and I brought Natalie Lewis, who's my partner in all things outside of Louis Vuitton.
Right.
And we started to get involved, and it's been really incredible. It's been really incredible. And of course, what Mario did in the 2 years post the pandemic was move out of the original store. So he and his partner Henrietta worked on the store that we're in today.
And it's a good thing in a way that they moved, because actually the old store, you went in, and I was like all these people, made a pilgrimage every time I was in Venice. You'd go and expect to see Attilio sitting in the corner. And so it would be quite sad. Plus, I can see what you've done. You've kept the essence of it, but it's a bit updated.
Yeah. And I think it's good to have also left the Calle where all the big brands are. Venice is very, very busy. It's a busy, noisy, sort of street with a different energy. Here we're slightly tucked away. We're next door to Harry's Bar.
Where he went every day for
every
lunch.
Every day. And where we go and have all our meetings, and we go there, it's our canteen. So it's sort of a little bit more private. I think that the store is really beautiful, and I think you're absolutely right. It feels like this is another phase and not just trying to replace somebody who was so phenomenal, and we had his last lunch when he was on form, we had on the terrace of the Monaco, and he was absolutely brilliant. And we had a fabulous lunch, and he told jokes, and he was fun, and stories came out. And it was beautiful because we had a period of handover that culminated in this great, great lunch. And that was his last lunch out. And it was with us.
Oh, that was so nice. Thinking about his contemporary art collection, I did go to dinner once in the palazzo, his palazzo. And when you walked in, it's the sort of place, just to give you an idea of the contemporary nature of this art, that I was with a friend and I suddenly said, get off that. That's not a rug, that's an artwork. Get off it, And there'd be a bicycle leant against the wall that was another...
It's a Catalan.
Yes, and the whole palazzo, this amazing historic building filled with these contemporary
with very contemporary. And he has one of the greatest Duchamp collections. He has, incredible Warhols. He would go and spend months in Paris and stayed and lived at the Ritz, and months in New York, and was very close to all the artists. And actually, he would have really been a big figure in the art world had his father not passed away when he was very young. He had to take over the shop when he was 18.
Yeah.
So he would have not really chosen that path. But he mixed it, right? He mixed it all into this sort of incredible figure as a character, because he was so beloved by artists. And as you said, the Palazzo is, first of all, I love it because it's not in San Marco, so it's in real Venice, right? Where Venetians live.
Yes.
It's a beautiful palazzo, and obviously overlooking the Grand Canale, but then you just have room after room of such contemporary works and books everywhere, and like a De Chirico just propped up on a chair. Everywhere you look at, there's something phenomenal.
And it sort of breathes life into it, because it's not just sort of like an old museum that's just kept there.
No, it's real life.
Yes, it's real life. So did he give you any advice? Did he give you his blessing? He knew that was happening.
Yeah.
What did he say to you?
So we had a very interesting afternoon here where he watched me talk to his artisans. So they came, two people that worked with him very, very closely, and actually some were second or third generation Venetian jewelers that had worked always for Codognato. And he basically, with Mario and Christina, we all sat here, and he didn't say anything. He just listened and he watched me. And then he turned around and he said, "You understand everything. You can do this." And it was just so touching, so incredibly touching. And all the family was here. And obviously, you know, for Christina and Mario, seeing their father, who was this great figure, slowly kind of, you know, become quieter, it was really quite an emotional and amazing moment.
Well, it's very flattering as well for you, Francesca, because I knew how much he held tight to everything. Yeah. He was a perfectionist. He was a control freak in the nicest possible way, because his passion and his care and his heritage. So for him to be able to let go, that must have been very nice for him to know it was continuing and in safe hands.
Yeah. And I think, you know, in that very kind of elegant old school way, you know, he didn't put pressure on Mario and Christina, but he saw that they were making these changes, you know, the storm, you know, he saw it happening. And I think he kind of felt that the right solutions were appearing, but they were not discussed. You know, it wasn't a sort of a dramatic panic. It was just a very gentle, very elegant, sort of gentle ways of finding solutions and getting his approval, and sort of just, you know,
take it into the future.
Yeah, but never in a direct, you know, too abrupt way. And I think, you know, when Mario suggested that Jürgen Teller come and take his portrait, and it was put on the windows here while the work was being done. So, you know, you had blacked out windows with just photography of Jürgen. And I think all those things were just sort of tongue in cheek, and, you know, and him sort of holding his hands up as if somebody was coming in, you know, opening the safe. And I think he kind of enjoyed all of that. He enjoyed seeing it and being always a little bit cheeky as he was,
and making
you know.
it artistic with Jürgen Teller.
Exactly.
So he took over from his father young.
That's right.
So I just want to say a bit about the history.
Yes.
Because really, I suppose, you know, we all think of Venice just as stuffed full of tourists, which it always has been.
Yeah.
And it was really the rite of passage of the grand tourists coming through Venice that it was Simone Codognato, the first of the dynasty, who opened the store and who had 19th century cameos and Roman jewels for the grand tourists to buy.
That's right. And objects.
And
silverware. And it had antiquities, and it had a mixture of different beautiful, as you said, antiquities that was sourced and was sold to fabulous people that came here for the grand tour.
And he was obviously obsessed by the discoveries being made in archaeological digs.
Yeah.
And that's quite interesting, isn't it? That Attilio was an obsessed by contemporary.
Yeah, I know. But it's so, I think because everybody of the Codognato, you know, male heirs were interested in the contemporary culture of their time, of their era, right? They drew inspiration. And it's very Venetian, isn't it? I mean, obviously having, you know, Venice filled with art from other places, filled to the brim with pieces that were taken from elsewhere. And therefore you have that kind of magic, right? It's mystical because it has all this mixture of cultures and so much meaning and so much history behind everything. I mean, you know, the horses above St. Mark's Cathedral, the columns that are there, these incredible Byzantine columns. So there was something that really could be bought, right, back from this experience of being in Venice, and you would be introduced to this incredible history and this rich heritage, and you could buy it and take it back home with you.
And so the jewellery always shimmers with this idea of excess, embellishment,
everywhere,
gemstones, and the symbolism, and a lot of the symbolism of the dark side of Venice as well.
The alchemy.
The snakes, the macabre, the skulls with deep-set diamond eyes. And are you going to keep that sensibility?
Well, I think that, you know, the skulls were something that these memento moris were very much Attilio's addition. Attilio really went and brought the skulls to Codognato. I feel that there is a how can I put it, a sensitivity towards the right time. You know, Attilio passed away last year. And so I feel very gentle about this position I find myself in, and how to pay homage to him and respect his, you know, incredible life. So I didn't want to jump in and sort of, you know, stomp onto anything that he created. And I decided to introduce a different element as my first collection. And again, when I say collection, it's a number of pieces, you know, it's not, you know, a huge collection.
You'll just bring out pieces.
As and when the artisans that we work with make them. So I created this collection being inspired by Renaissance hands and hands of artists.
And this is called
Ultima Mano, which is the last hand. And it can be everything. It's the last touch. It's the last hand when you finish something and you just give it that last hand. You know, it's the last kiss. It's all those symbolisms. And I think that for me, it was just important to get to know the artisans, to bring a touch of, you know, I'm the first woman to hold this position. So also something that has a touch of, you know, femininity.
Well, looking at it, that's the first thing I thought was, this is more feminine.
It is.
Sure.
And I think that, you know, at the same time, also, you know, when you look at anything that was made by Codognato, as you said, everything is decorated, right? The backs are enameled. There's inscriptions everywhere. And I think that that has to stay, of course. And the mysticism and symbolism and the alchemy is something that I absolutely love. And the sort of celebration of life, really, because of course the Memento Mori are celebrations of life. And I think bringing the idea of grapes and wine into the pieces is also something that I wanted to bring. And so you have, you know, these earrings, for example, that aren't here, that I'm working on, which are, you know, all inspired by wine, with quartz cups. One is brimming with wine and the other one is empty. So there's, you know, there's a lot of pieces that obviously start with the hands, and I was inspired by Canova's hands. I was inspired by, you know, the painters of Venice, and obviously there's...
And the tradition, there's a big tradition of hands being very important in sentiment and symbolism.
Absolutely. And also hands are a portrait of you, you know, it's such a, and it, you know, people's hands are something you always remember.
Do you?
I do. I'm obsessed with hands, always.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. I love people. I really feel that it's another form of a portrait. You know, it isn't just the expressions and the way you touch things is so, to me, is so something I always notice. It speaks volumes.
Well, I suppose the gestures, they are a language, aren't they, of their own?
Yeah.
So these lovely matte gold worked hands here as earrings have little diamond rings on the fingers. And what is that? Mammoth bone?
Mammoth bone and encrusted in stones, and obviously a lot of, you know, rubies, champagne diamonds, and nothing is highly polished. Everything has texture. It's always a mixture of silver and gold together. The gold is always engraved or textured. And, you know, the nails are a little bit polished and the fingers are elongated. Attilio always loved using rubies and emeralds. And then here we have an imperial jade. And the imperial jade is carved with a leaf that's taken from one of the columns that's in St. Mark's Square, which are these beautiful columns from Byzantium that are literally just in the square, not holding anything. And they're filled with incredible carvings. And then you have vined trunks with vine leaves with different colours of green enamel.
Snake peering out of the...
That's right. And then the hands are holding pearls. And
yeah, there's a lot to look at in this necklace.
And then here you have a little diamond set upside down. And again, a grey Tahitian pearl and a white pearl. And then what you can do is you can actually open the back. Here at the back there's a tiny little box, and you can take out this beautiful imperial jade, and you can wear it. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses, so I don't know if I'm going in the right direction. Yes.
There we are.
And you can wear it without. So you can wear it simple. You can actually attach this little enameled leaf that is on a chain that comes with the necklace. So you have this lovely handmade chain. You can attach the leaf here, and it's an enameled vine leaf with a diamond. And you can wear this on the chain. You can wear the imperial jade. So you get a lot of different looks, which I think is always so lovely. And I think that, again, it's great to be able to enjoy your pieces and wear them in different ways. And of course, it's all decorated and hand engraved with the Codognato name and Venetian diamonds at the back.
It's beautiful. I'll take pictures of everything so everyone can see, and we'll put it on our site and YouTube channel. Now, here are some beautiful cameos. Now, are these cameos that were here before that you've reset?
Yes. So these are normally the cameos that we buy are a few hundred years old. We find beautiful cameos. These are set within yellow gold, or again, the idea of wreaths. And again, all enameled. And what's so beautiful is also the backs are really stunning, right?
They're stunning.
I mean, all the backs are hand engraved and then all enameled with incredible decoration. So these are just gorgeous. And then, we also have these, which were, again, the memento mori with two skulls and these were here before. These were made before I arrived.
Are these hand painted?
These are hand painted. And then at the back, you've got all the engraving as well.
Hand painted on?
I think on bone.
On bone.
Yeah. And then you have citrines.
So they're quite macabre, these. This is real sort of the dark side of Venice.
Oh, yes.
I mean, these aren't easy skulls. And they have these staring dark pits for eyes.
And they're just always staring at you, right? They're never looking to the side. But look at even this skull ring. And there's always some cheekiness to them. And then, of course, the snakes. The snakes is another very important symbol of Codognato, which were made hundreds of years ago. I mean, I found these incredible drawings of snakes from 3 generations ago. Beautiful, thin, long heads, and very elegant snakes. So I'm sure they were a starting point for others to be inspired by snakes. But they've really been part of the Codognato repertoire and family for a long, long time.
And often on the skulls coming creeping out of mouths and eyes.
Yes.
But given there's such a memento mori aspect, and Attilio liked it, have you thought of making a piece that slightly celebrated his life?
Not yet. I feel like I need to kind of give it the right time. I feel very sensitive, as I said, to how close we are with him just being here. And, it doesn't feel like the right time yet to me. I just want to be very cautious in finding the right time and the right way. I think that's very important. So, we are, I'm so close to the family that it's important to also have their support and to do it in the right way. I really think so.
And have some of the old collectors been coming in?
Yeah, very much. And very, very much. And
interested?
Super interested. And I have to say, when we sort of announced that I was taking, this position, I had so many people call up, and even during the Biennale, walking around, everybody, being so congratulatory and people being so happy. And, this is a jewel. I mean, there's not that many places left that are steeped in history like this. The oldest shop in Venice, the idea that it's, staying in the family, the idea that there's this continuity, and the idea that there's still such a incredible, unique place that is just the one store and that is still, a hidden treasure.
And will it stay like that? What intentions have you got?
Because
you're here, although you're in a quieter street going down to Harry's Bar, you're slap bang opposite Tiffany.
Yes.
I mean, there is this sense of, are they moving into the brand territory?
No, I think we're very happy to be, us sort of, we're a great gang. We're a gang of 5 and we all have our little skill sets and we all work together and we're very united. And I think, of course there's interested parties, but we're very happy to just keep going as we're going. I mean, I've literally now got to know out of the 7 artisans, I've got to know 3 very well that I'm on WhatsApps on a daily basis. And I think we're very in tune. Funnily enough, since moving the store, we've had more people come and seek us. I don't know if it's many things together, being here, Venice being more of a, a place now that quite a lot of people are moving to, and a lot of interesting people are moving to. It's not just sort of mass tourism. There's beginning to be a little bit of life, of culture in Venice that's all year round. I think also, obviously, me being part of it, there's so many different elements that are sort of bringing more interesting people coming in daily. And I think we're very happy with keeping it as is for now. Who knows? But I think for now, I can't speak for the family of what's going to happen in the future. Yes. But I think for now, we're very happy.
I love a place to be where it should be.
Yeah.
And I think when you visit cities, it's lovely to go and see something that's authentic to the city rather than just the brands you find everywhere.
That's right. You can't get more local than this, really. But this shop will stay no matter what. I think that... the continuity of this store and the store saying, every piece is handmade, every piece is unique. We don't repeat things, even if it's another snake ring, it's slightly different. We don't use molds. We don't mass produce. We don't use factories. That's going to stay.
And will you keep on with the antique objects and finding?
I think so.
Rare pieces.
Yes. So I've been looking and buying relics and incredible. This necklace, we just bought some of these pieces in London. There's amazing dealers that were very, very close to
These are cameos, pieces of old coral.
Correct. Again, it's on a handmade chain. Everything is handmade on it. And I think that this idea of also getting to know the antique dealers that worked with Attilio and becoming friends with them is really important, and learning from them and learning, even some of the jewelers who have pieces that Attilio had left there. And I went to meet, the first jeweler I met is this wonderful woman here in Venice, and her father worked with Attilio's father, and on and on and on. And they are teaching me as much as I'm asking. It's a great conversation because of course they also know so much. It's ingrained in everything they've made, for generations.
And when you said you've had more visitors, I thought it's slightly amusing that Attilio used to shut the shop when there were too many tourists buzzing around, or the carnival time when everyone was... He just shut up shop.
And the summer.
And just that's it.
And quite a few days of the week as well.
So the fact is, if you stay open, you're going to have some more visitors.
It's quite incredible. And we have, Attilio used to open when he wanted.
Yes.
And he'd never open in August. God forbid. Yeah. And he would kind of leave a note saying, gone to the office, and he'd be at the Ritz in Paris. And he literally just used, I suppose, the store and what he did to enhance his life rather than the other. It wasn't work.
Yeah.
It was all about sort of enjoying your life.
Quite funny.
Yeah.
Does Venice itself, is that going to inspire you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Venice is filled constantly. Ceilings and paintings and silks and brocades and the palazzo and the glass and the proportions. Absolutely. It's just constant. I'm photographing things constantly.
Where's your place that you love visiting most when you come to the city?
There's a lot of places, but obviously the Scuola San Rocco, obviously the Tintorettos. I love Peggy Guggenheim's home. There's so many places that put you in a great mood. So, constantly.
Just every corner that you walk around.
Yesterday we were in Peggy Guggenheim's house. We had it to ourselves and it was phenomenal, just to be, and my father used to, his summer job was to take Peggy from the airport in Rome to the train station and put her on the train to Venice and sort of be the sort of young, handsome man that would, sort of have to escort her.
She liked young, handsome
men.
men.
But he was always shocked that she just had her cash in a plastic bag, a shopping bag from a supermarket, literally. But so My grandparents used to live in Venice. I used to come here as a child a lot. I find Venice really, just filled with family. And now that I'm very much becoming familiar to it, before every time you arrive in Venice, you gasp at the beauty of it. And now I sort of, I feel like not at home because there's so much to discover in Venice, but I feel like I'm very familiar to it. And then all the incredible, contemporary art, going to see, the amazing museums and the shows during the Biennales, it's phenomenal.
I went to the de Kooning show
stunning.
at the Academia yesterday.
Stunning.
Really stunning. And what I loved about it was the reference to how he was inspired by the old masters.
Yeah.
The abstract expressions inspired by the old masters and really the craft, and that's why he began to, because he had to feel it and feel the craft.
And he came here, and because obviously Mario Codognato co-curated that exhibition. What I loved is I loved the way it's installed, but I loved that there was also Giacometti. There was a Rodin. I mean, it's stunning, and you see right the conversation, and beautiful to see sculptures by him.
Yes.
Right? And the nudes. I love the nudes.
Those were great. But so what's your little secret? Have you got one secret you can share with us? A bit of Venice that we might not be so familiar with? I know that's really hard,
it's really
isn't it?
difficult. I just find to get out of this area,
out of San Marco and just walk.
Go into real Venice, because it is a little bit inundated with people. I mean, of course, this week is crazy, but there is always too many people. I mean, we've been here in November, December, and January. You still can't get a hotel room at that time of the year, so you have to get out of this area and go and see, if you can, real artisans that are still here.
And how will you divide your time between Vuitton and Codognato?
Well, with Vuitton, I tend to work. It's difficult to divide time, right? So I'm always like, this morning I was on the phone to Paris first thing this morning, and I follow all the designers there. And of course, we're going to launch the high jewelry collection in June. So there's, I make big collections of Vuitton, very big collections. But what I do is I luckily work pretty fast, and I know very quickly the direction I want to go in. I think I just, juggle both. Here with Codognato, it's more coming here and spending time with the artisans. Once
At Vuitton, you design and then you can leave it in their hands.
Well, the most important thing for me is to start to have relationships with the artisans where you have such a great knowledge of each other that you just over the phone or on WhatsApp, you can say, how I like the texture to be. How I like the earrings not to be more than, X amount of grams, or where the post should be, all the little technical things, but also the hand. So once you get to know each other, then you can literally, you can work remotely with people. I mean, I know that, for example, during the pandemic, we designed a phenomenal collection at Vuitton, the Bravery collection, and it was all done remote. And I think that is when your depth of knowledge is good. You're resourceful, right? You can really go to people and have such strong relationships that they understand what you're saying. And, they understand a sketch, they understand your hand. And I think that's what I want to get to here with Codognato. So, of course, you've got to invest the time. And I did the same thing at Vuitton. At Vuitton at the beginning, I was flying there every other week from Connecticut, which was really tough. But now I can sort of stand back. And of course, you put together a team of people that supports you, and you're as good as your team, really. And of course, I can't take credit for everything that happens at Vuitton. Not at all. But I have phenomenal teams that are great at the development. I also have got to know all the ateliers that we work with in Place Vendôme. And so, I'm very hands-on. And I know how to make jewelry. I'm a bench jeweler by training. Yeah. So then I can really speak to them and tell them, try this, try that. And I think that makes a huge difference. But you've got to be on everything all the time. You can't look away. The minute you look away, something changes.
So you're keeping up the tradition of the people of each generation coming to Codognato, because you sold one of the big pieces within the first week, didn't you?
Well, I've been working on a necklace for months, and it was brought to the store and it arrived here for the still life photo to be taken, and Rihanna and A$AP Rocky were in Venice, having a lovely, weekend away, and he walked into the store and bought it on the stop. So it wasn't even in the window. Never made it to the window. It was meant to be the necklace that was going in the window.
Good omen.
So it's fantastic because he is the most stylish and gorgeous and has, I think one of the best styles than anyone today. And he fell in love with it and it fitted him.
Wow.
I cannot tell you how perfect it was on him. And it was, I would have never imagined, I don't really ever kind of design pieces with someone in mind. I design them as beautiful objects and I just am concerned with proportions and everything else. But it just was made for him and he walked out with it and that was that. So quite extraordinary to have that be the first person that buys the first piece that I've
be
created.
better.
Yes.
And Attilio will be very happy. Very happy. And very happy that you're here really launching it during the Biennale.
Yes.
It couldn't be better for him and his legacy.
Yeah. I mean, many days we have these conversations saying, oh God, Attilio's now laughing at us. Oh God, Attilio would have loved that, and he's really with us and that's kind of fabulous.
Well, it's great that it's in safe hands. Thank you so much, Francesca, for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Love chatting to you, Carol. Thank you.
And good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. That was the first episode of Season 7. And due to popular demand, we have now increased the amount of our episodes per season to 20 episodes. So do keep listening because we have lots of fantastic episodes coming to you from around the world. For this and other episodes of If Jewels Could Talk, please go to our website, carolwoolton.com/podcasts. And if you've enjoyed it, share it any way you can, and we love to have a comment and a rating. We're also on YouTube, and I'm at Carol Woolton on Instagram. Please join me again in 2 weeks for the next Jeweled Nugget. I will be talking to a PR Supremo, a woman who spent her career in New York getting jewellery onto the great, the good, and the stars on the red carpet around the world. Indeed, she may be the reason why you wear jewellery. She has many tales to tell, some of them hilarious escapades, so please join me in 2 weeks. And thank you for listening. Bye-bye. If Jewels Could Talk with Carol Woolton is produced by Natasha Cowan, music and editing by Tim Thornton, graphics by Scott Bentley, illustration by Jordi Labanda. You can find our sponsors at fullygemstones.com and me at carolwoolton.com.